The upper house weighs in on passport-readable kiosks at the airport and more. A teenager accused of 3 murders has his second day in court. And in sports, more fallout for the Windies from the second test against England.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, we hear that the 17 new passport-readable kiosks to be placed at the Grantley Adams International Airport will significantly speed up the time it will take for people coming into the island to clear immigration. But at the same time, the new approach will not put Barbados' security at risk. This from Minister of Information, Senator Lucille Moore, as she introduced the Immigration Amendment Bill 2019 to the upper house. Senator Moore is standing in for Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Dr. Jerome Walcott, who is away on government business. Now, in explaining the process, the Information Minister said people coming into the island will no longer be required to fill out the customs declaration forms. Instead, they will scan their passports at the kiosks and be issued with a receipt, which will determine whether or not they will need to be processed further. It is also expected to enable immigration officers to process 4 times more travelers than at present.
Also provides for 89% faster processing for eligible travelers. So for the travelers who have no issue coming through, as compared to the typical old process as well. It also requires less than 50% of the current operational space. So it then allows for more individuals in the arrival halls at any one time. So it allows the Grantley Adams International Airport then to increase the number of arrivals and to also reduce the wait time of individuals.
Well, as it relates to security, Senator Moore stresses that it will not be compromised.
We have the Joint Regional Communications Center, the acronym people refer to it as JRCC, which currently provides the Immigration Department with checks against watch lists regionally and internationally, including Interpol, so that there's no change into the security that we currently enjoy at our ports of entry. And that is all done within no less than 40 minutes prior to arrival or departure.
Deputy President of the Senate, Rudolph Greenidge, believes there should still be a few immigration officers to operate in their original capacity. While supporting the bill to make significant advancements to the airport, he says there is much more to an immigration officer than stamping passports.
They will tell you that they still have a lot of student applications, student visa applications that have to be dealt with. They still have immigrant status applications that have to be dealt with. Extension of stay applications that have to be dealt with, passport applications.
Although she supports the bill, Independent Senator Tony Moore says she would have preferred government to have been more inclusive in its planning. While noting the tourism experience must be enhanced, she queried whether the affected workers were consulted.
What we have not heard about as we contemplate how the amendment may facilitate the performance of the industry and improving visitor experience, and albeit that we have recognized that the immigration officer will still be the first point of contact, well, individual point of contact, what we have not heard is what engagement has taken place at that level before the introduction of an amended piece of legislation.
Well, in response, Government Senator Romel Springer said workers were in fact consulted. He told the House the union, which represents the majority of immigration officers, was part of the process.
In actual fact,
the other trade union that represents these people would have engaged these persons on this matter. And they would have had the opportunity to express their issues, their problems, and these matters are being discussed with a view of some kind of resolution. So fear not, Senator Moore. The matter is being addressed.
Well, this piece of legislation was passed in the Senate. The number of judges in Barbados will be increased. 5 more will be appointed, moving the number to 13. This was revealed by Attorney General Dale Marshall as he led off debate on the second reading of the Supreme Court of Judicature Amendment Bill 2019 in the lower house, and that was yesterday. Well, the debate was picked up in the upper house today, with Deputy President of the Senate Rudolph Greenidge noting that judges are human and have preferences too. He made the point while supporting the bill. Now, apart from increasing the complement of judges to the High Court, Senator Greenidge believes having judges specialize would help to speed up the judiciary process.
I see nothing wrong if a particular judge elects to work in a particular court, whether it be family or commercial or criminal, why that judge should not be allowed to do so and to stay there. I see no reason why it shouldn't happen. In fact, the judge should be encouraged to do so.
Opposition Senator Caswell Franklin has been sharing his ideas for dealing with the backlog of court cases. One of them involves penalizing delinquent lawyers, while another seeks to tackle the problem at the source.
All they have to do is to penalize the lawyers for being tardy, make them pay a cost, and not the clients pay the cost, make them pay a cost, and you will see that the system will be speeded up. That's one way of speeding it up. While I support the amendment, and I agree that we have to get these judges, I think what we should be working toward is getting less criminals. You know? But right now, to get less criminals, it can't legislate that.
Triple murder accused Romario Roach has been remanded yet again to Dodds Prison. The 18-year-old of River Bay, St. Lucie, made his second court appearance, this time at the District A Magistrates Court. It was to face the charge of murder of Tyrone Austin. Now, the body of the 68-year-old man was discovered in a bushy area at Wanstead Gardens on December 8th last year. Roach's first court appearance was at the Holtown Magistrates Court on January 31st to face the charge of the murder of his 38-year-old mother, Joanne Roach. Her decomposed body was discovered at River Bay in St. Lucie on January 21st. An unrepresented Roach appealed to the magistrate, Christy Cuffy Sargent, today to assist him in getting into the psychiatric hospital. He was, however, remanded to Dodds Prison until March 6th. Roach is also accused of the murder of 68-year-old Dr. Sarah Sutrina. Her mutilated body was discovered in a bushy area of Northumberland in St. Lucie on January 22nd. Well, it appears some teachers at the Coleridge and Parry School are still uneasy with the conditions on that compound. The institution was reopened on Monday, 1 week after being closed to rectify environmental issues. However, President of the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union, Mary Ann Redmond, explains the teachers requested a meeting with that body this morning.
We are here simply because, as you are aware, the school was closed last week for an industrial cleaning, and we are simply doing a follow-up inspection, which we did on Monday. We found that certain aspects of the cleaning were not up to the standard that we expected. Staff indicated a discomfort with what actually they were seeing after the cleaning, and they requested that we meet with them this morning. So that is simply all that we are here to do, to meet with them, hear their concerns subsequent to the cleaning, and to see how best we can get those concerns addressed.
Two elderly people were in for quite a shock when a tractor came crashing into their Dunscombe St. Thomas home around 11 this morning. CBC understands this piece of heavy-duty equipment, which was being transported on a trailer, slid off, causing extensive damage to the front of the house. Police say the truck, owned by Rayside Construction, was driven by 56-year-old David Williams, who is also of Dunscombe in St. Thomas. The occupants of the house, 76-year-old Lavadney Edwards Harris and her mother, Clarine Edwards, were both at home at the time.
Me and my mother was just in the back, and we heard this impact, but we didn't feel the shake in the house. When my mother leave and come up here, when my mother get there, I hear my mother shout out, and said the house gone. That's all I can tell you.
Well, no injuries were reported, but Miss Edwards Harris says she has had to call a doctor for her mother, who apparently went into shock. She said she would be heeding advice not to stay in the uninsured house tonight. The Venezuelan Association of Barbados wants CARICOM to support and recognize Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido as president. Mr. Guaido, who declared himself interim president since last month, has so far secured the backing of many countries, including the US, EU and the UK. Speaking on today's edition of Morning Barbados, an association member, Enrique Zerpa, made the appeal to the regional group as he described the harsh social climate in his homeland.
We want you to understand that there are children dying of hunger in Venezuela because they cannot get their hands on anything to eat. That there are people dying of cancer because they cannot get medicines. That there are people dying on the street from violence. Venezuela is one of the most violent countries in the world, and it hurts me to have to say these things about my country that I love. But that is the reality. We need CARICOM to get on board, CARICOM to support us as a people, and we can all together move forward.